Welcome and welcome back, guys, to my YouTube channel. If you're new, please subscribe if you're not yet. And if you've been following me through since I started this YouTube channel, thank you so much for your support. It's a new month, the month of March. And this month, I want to talk about realignment. So I feel like all the themes will be around realignment, and we're going to see about that, guys. So my name is Charity Onyonyi. Thank you so much for joining me. And today I'm wearing my Charity Haven nutrition hat, and I'm going to give you an episode on nutrition mentorship and just how to navigate the nutrition career. And today we're going to look at discipline without burnout. So we're going to look at how to build sustainable habits as a professionals. So please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Let's keep on being the best versions of ourselves. So we're going to look at why or the discipline narrative that we were taught. I define for you guys what discipline is, and if not, this is the definition of discipline. So we were introduced to discipline with this intensity. You need to be so intense, you need to sacrifice a lot, and you need to always put out output. So you work harder, you wake up early, push through fatigue, outperform everyone else so that you can be seen as someone who is disciplined. And somewhere along the line, exhaustion became proof of seriousness. Like, you need to work yourself to exhaustion so that people can know you're serious or can take you serious. So especially in a professional setting, especially in our career like us where we are helping people, burnout is often normalized as commitment, and that is from my own experience. And if you're tired, it means you care. If you overwhelmed, it means you're ambitious. So you work through everything so that you can get to your goal. But here's the problem. Intensity is not the same as sustainability. You can be intense and not sustainable at all, and you can be sustainable and you're going through your own pace. And if your version of discipline consistently depletes you, or you're just always exhausted, then it's not discipline, it's fatigue disguised as strength. If you have any other thoughts rather than what I've said on this slide, please leave it in the comment section. Let's interact. Share what's the discipline narrative that you were taught when you were growing up. Let's discuss, let's get to just interact and know more about each other. So we're going to look at why motivation is an unreliable strategy. And I will say, oh, but you're debunking some of what we know. But this is from my own thoughts and my own experience. We often wait for motivation before we act. You know, for me, motivation is a state of dependence. It fluctuates with our mood, it fluctuates with our stress, it fluctuates with our sleep quality, and sometimes hormones. You can just be in a state where you are so unmotivated, you do not want to work or do anything. And if your strategy depends on feeling inspired, then your consistency will depend on variables you cannot fully control. What do I mean by this? If you wait to start, sometimes you'll never start. That's why there's this I'll start working out on Monday kipita, you say next Monday, because your motivation is dependent on a feeling. Like, I feel like, you know I hope you're getting my train of thought. And professionals do not fail because they lack ambition. We All of us have ambition in us. We want to succeed, we want to be the best in what we do. We struggle because we rely on emotions to sustain structure. I know sometimes you'll say, when you look at these wealthy people, they're very ruthless. That is what I have seen when I read on how this, billionaire in the making. I think if you go to my YouTube channel, that is part of a niche I watch a lot. And sustainable progress requires something steadier than motivation. It requires system. So if you're always waiting to be ready before you do it, and raise hand, you can leave it in the comment section. Most of the time when I tell myself I'll wait to feel ready, like this YouTube channel, I waited years and years for me to feel ready, and I never did. I just decided to put measures in place and start recording these videos, editing them, teaching myself how to edit, looking at the digital content creation aspect of being an an educator. Look to my mood. Sometimes it's a double-edged sword when you tell yourself I'll be ready, and sometimes you just really don't feel like doing something, but you have to do it because you need to push yourself. So I feel like when it comes to motivation, sometimes it's a double-edged sword. So we're going to look at redefining discipline, especially for us professional. This is according to me and some of what I've read so far. Discipline is not intensity, it's alignment. Like I said, this month I want it to be about alignment and realignment. It is the repeated execution of small intentional actions that reflect your values. Look at your values. If you don't know what your values are, please assess yourself. It does not need to be dramatic. I don't need to be repeatable. The goal is not to produce explosive output. The goal is to create predictable rhythm, because rhythm sustains and spikes exhaust. Because for me, sometimes when I feel like I have this energy and I start doing these projects, and that's najishtaki. I start doing these projects all at once because I have this bout of energy, and then when the energy dies down, I've left a lot of really uncompleted projects, especially in Canva. I have this course I want to create. I have a lot of energy. I start creating it. Ikiisha, I always just look at that folder and I feel sad for myself. That's why I decided to talk about discipline, especially for us, because it can be quite sad when you have these ideas and you really don't know how to execute them. So for me, true discipline protects longevity and professional credibility. And that is something that I'm also learning, and I hope you'll come and learn with me. Yeah. So we're going to look at system versus willpower. If you've been listening to me and also on my post, I always talk about sometimes it's not our willpower. So willpower is finite or finite, I don't know how you pronounce it, and decreases under stress. And research consistently shows that cognitive control decline under stress and decision fatigue. So by the end of a long clinic day, or content planning session, your brain is less capable of resisting distraction or initiating complex tasks. Just go sit through a 5-hour meeting. By the time that meeting is done, you don't even remember half of what you've talked about in that meeting. So system reduce the need for willpower. Like I said, willpower is finite or finite and declines under stress, like I've explained to you. So when habits are anchored to cues, that is time, location, and routine, they require less decision making. So let's see this example. A system says, at this time this happened. It lowers friction, and friction is what drains professional. And this is, I've been really looking at psychology because I'm a very curious soul, and I have noticed, this is according to me, I have systems in place. Every time I have a small free time away from my 9 to 5, I usually plan my content for the week. Like, let's say today I'm recording this episode normally on a Sunday. So on Sunday, after I've recorded this, I still go back and now come up with the week's content so that I don't feel a burnout. And this is the systems that I've put in place. I've made the environment um, conducive for me to sit and know at this time I'll be recording an episode and editing it. I'll be looking at the different pages I'm managing and the content I'm going to create. And I feel like this structured routine has sort of free mental space for high level thinking. So sometimes ideas come to me and I write them down because I'm not really stressed about what I'm going to post next. And that is what season 3, of course, I have to plug myself. I have a course out on this YouTube channel. I will share the link on this particular episode for any professional who wants to tune in and read more. That course is about strategic thinking. Please go watch it if you've not, and share, let people know about it. So we're going to look at the cost of all or nothing thinking. So one of the fastest paths to a burnout is perfectionism. So I'll define for you guys what perfectionism is. And I have a huge case of perfectionism. I start strong. I set ambitious goals. I commit to this sort of bout of energy the space was talking about, dramatic changes, and then I miss a day, and instead of really looking at why I missed it, I sit down and restart it again. So that is my problem. So let me give you an example. When I started it, I don't know, I deleted that video. I was in the same room. I didn't know about angles. I didn't know about lighting. I just know it's almost raining outside, so it's a little bit dim. I didn't know angles. I didn't know my background. I had a very busy background. I did not set myself to look very pleasing that video. I don't know. I deleted it. So my perfectionism really made me delete it because I couldn't watch that video without changing. And if you've been following me through all my videos, you've seen the changes and the growth that has happened across all the videos until I settled on this presentation kind of videos. So I really struggled. So this cycle of intensity, disruption, guilt, restarting, for me it was emotionally expensive, and I know it is for you. So sustainable discipline is very flexible, um, and it accepts imperfectionism, because we are human. We are bound to not be always the right angle, the right what, the right lighting. And I feel like it prioritizes return over restart. And I feel like most of the time when I was restarting what I was doing, when I have a client meeting, I really overdo it sometimes to appear like you have it all figured out. And it was really stressful, and it really caused me to now hate that part of nutrition before I actually settled on what I wanted to focus on, and that is what I'm doing right now. So we're going to look at designing habits that match real capacity. So high capacity professionals often overestimate what they can sustain. And the question is not what can I do at my best. The question should be what can I maintain on a difficult day, because on a difficult day, that is when you'll know if you're really motivated or disciplined, or you really don't know what you're doing. So there is where minimum viable habits become powerful. So if you want to write weekly, maybe the minimum is 15 focused minutes. If you want to improve clinical documentation, maybe it's one structured template per day. So start below your maximum, because consistency compounds even when efforts feel small. I don't know if you've understood this slide, because this is where now we are starting to redefine or alignment and seeing what actually fuels discipline. So start below your maximum capacity to prevent overload. Define your minimum viable habits. What can I sustain on a bad day? Is it posting once a day, or posting one content a day, or one content a week? And then attach a new behavior to existing anchors. Habit stacking. Like if you're going to write, then you say, I'm going to repurpose this content and post it in another social media. I'm going to have one training session, and from the training session, I'm going to get numbers of people that I can work with. So networking. Like you stack one habit to an already existing one that you already know you can do on a bad day. Then measure consistency over magnitude. What have I achieved? Not how much output I have, but what can I like be happy with consistently. Sometimes we look at the output so much that it starts to stress us. So allow for adjustment in your workload. Feel like that is when you start to design habits that really match your own capacity. So we're going to look at energy management over time management. So we obsess over time management. We're told time is something that you will never recover, which is actually true. But time is fixed. Like right now, it's almost 9:30 a.m. But energy is not. Right now, I have bout of energy. By the time it gets to 12, I'll be like energy tamagotchi. So your cognitive performance is higher at certain hours, and that is what I told you. Be self-aware. For me, my energy is usually best in the morning. That's why in the morning, that's when I do most of the high intensity or high cognitive tasks. like thinking or coming up with episode, coming up with content for the week for different pages that I'm managing, for my own pages, for everything, and also planning, journaling, and everything. And when emotional tolerance fluctuates, your creativity depends on recovery. And that is true. Because for me, when I'm feeling low energy, I don't want to do anything. And I'm not even creative. My mind is just like blah, 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 blah. You see that meme? Yeah. So instead of asking, how do I fit more into my day? Ask yourself, where is my energy the strongest and what deserves that energy? Very true. And I feel like this works for me. Even at work, I know when I'm at my best and I know when at my worst. So I usually try my best to reserve my energy for when the workload is a lot, and then now have a crash out when the energy, when the workload imepungua, so I do not have to think and focus so much more. And that is where self-awareness comes in. Guys, look at your energy. I know this is, someone will say it's preaching, but it's not. Because for me, I always ask myself, where is my energy the strongest in the morning? That is when I put things that I need a lot of energy. And then in the evening, I am just tired. I want to just scroll through social media. That is when I will go and look at what trends and what not, so that things that don't require a lot of energy. Yeah. So strategic rest is not indulgence. It protects decision quality and emotional stability. On Thursday on my LinkedIn, last Thursday, I talked about demystifying rest. Guys, rest. Just block an hour of your day to just rest and not do anything. Because for me, sustainable system are protecting my mental clarity, which helps me to be more creative. That's why I have content day in and day out. Some of you ask me, how do you do it? You don't lack content. It's because I am strategic with what I do. We're going to look at building weekly structures that prevent burnout. So this is where you can apply this if it works for you, or you can just see if you can tweak it to match your own. So a sustainable week does not have 40 priorities. That is not what I do. It has meaningful outcome. I mean three meaningful outcomes. So one non-negotiable habit, one recovery window, and one reflective checkpoint. So establish one non-negotiable professional habit. Let's say in the morning, you will block out the best time on your energy that is peak to do the huge chunk of the work you're supposed to do. And then you schedule a recovery window before exhaustions appear. That's why I like using the Promenado time management technique. It gives you time to do and time to rest. And then create one clear time to prevent work bleed. Conduct weekly reflection to recalibrate your workload. Because for me, without reflection, system will decay. Your system will just run its course and will not do it. Without recovery, those systems will collapse completely. So structure should simplify your week and not suffocate it. Even if you have a structure in place and it's complicating your life, then you're not doing it right. Just keep that in mind. We're going to look at mental stamina and emotional discipline. So discipline is not just behavioral, it's emotional, like we've seen across all the. I hope you guys have understood. I've tried my best not to make it as technical as possible, and I hope I've come out clear. If not, please leave in the comment section which part you want me to explain, and I will respond to you as a comment. There will be days when you don't feel capable, days when self-doubt surfaces, and that is something I face. Days when comparison creeps in. Why is my content not performing better than unajikompare na mtu mwenye already alikuwa ahead of you? So emotional discipline is the ability to continue gently without self-attack, because at some point you might be doing all this and you feel like it's not amounted to anything, and then you start to attack yourself. So emotional discipline is that, like, I can create this content and I'm content with the output. Sometimes it doesn't get the impression I want. I don't dwell on it. I go and recalibrate and see what I've done wrong and what I can do right. So research on resilience shows that self-compassion increases long-term persistence more effectively than harsh self-criticism. Sometimes you might say, let me check myself, and then you really become harsh, you self-criticize, which can lead to system failure. So shame reduces stamina, safety sustain it. I hope you've understood that. So we're going to look at signs your system is failing. If your discipline relies on adrenaline, it's fragile. Yeah. If rest only happens after collapse, the system is reactive. If small distraction derail your week, the structure is too rigid. So any small failure, you feel like I can't do this. And if you look at those best people, they had their ups and downs. There are years or months where it wasn't going as they planned, and they still went back to the drawing board and tried to recalibrate to see where they went wrong. If productivity feels urgent rather than intentional, something needs redesign. System should absorb stress and not amplify it, please. Yeah. So we're going to look at what sustainable discipline look like. So sustainable discipline is steady. It's just not a sprint. You may feel extraordinary, but you feel stable. Yeah. You know what your week looks like, you know when you rest, you know your minimum standards. Habits continue when motivation dips. Even if some days I don't feel like creating content, I still do, because these are habits that I have already like put them in place. That's why I highly recommend a content calendar if you're going to venture into digital content creation, and progress accumulates quietly. Like you don't expect this loud progress. Some days your content can go viral, you get almost 30 impressions, and some days you get only 20 impressions. You're happy. It dips and it fluctuates, but you still continue with the habits that you have in place. So, as we wind up the episode, guys, let me tell you, burnout is not a proof of dedication, and that is why I'm demystifying rest. Intensity is not proof of discipline. Sustainable systems are not acts of self respect. The goal is not to exhaust yourself into achievement, is to build a rhythm that allows you to grow without losing yourself in the process. You don't need more pressure. I feel like you need more structure. I hope this episode has been able to help you redefine what sustainable discipline, look like. So if this resonates with you, I'd love to know, where does your current system feel frail or fragile, and where could it become more sustainable? Let's discuss in the comment section as a community so that we can know how to help each other, because this is a space where we become the best versions of ourselves. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching me. I really appreciate it.